So hi guys, welcome to Crazy Burger. So as you know, we're going to get an Amiga collection at some point on Evercade, and Blaze have sort of sent out a little tease asking what we think the publisher is going to be. Now I suspect we're going to get maybe a couple of collections from specific publishers. I've already sort of covered this in a video, thinking that potentially the first collection will be from Team 17. Now that's probably the most obvious one, but there are a couple more that we could get collections from. There are some really good possibilities out there, and what I'm going to do in this video is just have a quick look at some of the other possibilities that we could see as an Amiga collection and what other games that could entail. And let's have a quick look. Okay, so there's probably tons and tons of publishers out there, and probably more than you actually see on the screen here. But I'm going to maybe click on a few and look at some of the examples that we could see. Now some of them are probably completely out of scope, like Activision probably won't be happening anytime soon, for example. But there are some here that are possibilities. You never know, I'm not really sure. Looking at Accolade, and if you click on these it sort of tells you the games that they covered. And obviously not sure if we'll see any of these, and I think one of the biggest problems is who actually owns the rights to these. Even though these companies are listed, a lot of these companies are now defunct, and the rights have went to other sort of companies and other publishers down the line, and it does get a little bit confusing. But there are quite a few still running and still sort of publishing games to this day. So we'll have a quick look through the list alphabetically and see if we can pick out a few that are pretty obvious. Now interestingly here we've not got Bitmap Brothers listed under B, which is kind of strange. So that kind of says to me that this list isn't completely inclusive of everything that you've seen on Amiga. So I think Bitmap Brothers could be a possibility. I'll have a look at that in a little minute. Let's have a look at some of the other stuff that sort of sprung out to me. The Core Design was another one that kind of jumped out as being pretty recognisable, but I can't remember who actually owns Core Design anymore. And I know it's sort of changed sort of hands a few times. I'm not even sure if it's possible if that could be licensed. But if it could, there's some really good games in amongst there. There's obviously the Chuck Rock series, which I remember. You've got an Impossible Jagger XJ220 was fantastic, and the sort of Hamdall games as well, which were kind of alright. And then you get Dragonstone, which a lot of people quite enjoy too. And then the most obvious ones here are Rick Dangerous 1 and 2, and I see Switchblade is also mentioned. But could be a possibility. I'm not sure. I can't remember who actually owns Core Design anymore, but there's a definite possibility there that we could see some of them. Let's go back to the top. We're now at D. So another one that definitely jumped out to me as being a little bit recognisable is Domark. Again, I'm not sure who owns them. I actually suspect Core Design might even have took the rights to them at some point, and then it went to whoever bought Core Design. Could be wrong. But yeah, there's a few recognisable games in amongst there that I'm sure a lot of people sort of recognise, like Clax and Hard Drive, and RBI Baseball was fantastic fun. And you get a few others there that I probably remember, like Tubin. I definitely remember playing Spitting Image, which was kind of alright, but that was on the Commodore 64. And yeah, there's also got these two Championship Manager games. Now, they would be great, but are they possible, considering there's probably a lot of issues with licensing, with player names and such in there, so who knows. Let's go down the list. I'm sure if you see any more here, let me know. I'm not really familiar with all of these. Sort of call them out and what you think might be a publisher that we could see on Evercade. Electronic Arts I'm just going to completely ignore. I just don't see that ever happening. I just think that license would be way out of reach. Now obviously we see the Epics listed as on Commodore 64 collection. I don't think that's going to be an option, because most of the games here are pretty similar to what we've already got on the Commodore 64 collection, so I don't think that's realistic. Same goes for Houston as well. I doubt very much we'll see them as a publisher on Amiga. I just don't think that'll happen. It would be a bit daft, I think. Now, another one that definitely jumps out here is Gremlin. Now, I see a lot of people mentioning this as a collection. Obviously, we've already got a Gremlin collection on Evercade, which probably didn't go down too well. But I see a lot of the probably better games from Gremlin came on the home computers. And there's some really good games here that, could be a possibility. Ideally, we would certainly love the Lotus series games, but again, that's going to be a massive issue with licensing, possibly. Now, they could potentially release it and drop the Lotus from the name, And obviously then you'd need to drop all the references in the actual game, but it's possible that we could see that. I think Gremlin is definitely up there as one of the high possibilities to see. And you've got Premier Manager series, got Space Crusade. Again, that could be heavily licensed. I'm not sure we'd see that. You've got the Supercars series, which was really good. Again, Switchblade 1 and 2, we could potentially see them. Utopia, obviously, we got that already on Evercade. And then you got Zool 1 and 2. Could we see the second one from Gremlin? Who knows? It's certainly a very high possibility. I'd love to see it. There's some really good games there that would be brilliant. Again, stuff like Greg Norman's Ultimate Golf, Gary Lineker's Hot Shot. Don't know. Could be some licensing issues there. You could drop the name, I guess, but yeah. So let's have a quick look through some more. I'm sure you recognise quite a lot of these, and there's quite a lot of Infogrames. I certainly recognise that name. I'm not sure who owns that anymore. Don't really recognise a lot of the games though. But yeah, it could be a possibility. Interplay is mentioned again. Again, I'm not really sure this will happen. I don't think there's enough games to warrant a collection there. Yeah, I don't think that would be too popular. I don't think I want to see that. Konami, Chrysalis. I can't remember who owns Chrysalis. That certainly rings a bell. We've got like Arabian Nights, Legends. I recognise some of these games. Soccer Kid. Yeah. Manchester United, Europe. So we've kind of already got that game already in a different sort of name on Evercade. But yeah, I don't think that's a high possibility. Lucasfilm Games, forget it. It's not happening. There's a huge list. We've got Mastertronic, that could be interesting. I always thought that was kind of like a budget label right enough, so not entirely sure if we'll see any of those games happening. What else we got? Microprose. Again, is it possible? I don't know. It could be. Some interesting games here that a lot of people will recognise if you had an Amiga back in the day, like Pirates. There's the Impossible Mission updates. Yeah, Microprose Soccer, absolutely loved it, but the Amiga version is absolutely pants in comparison to Commodore 64. So there's an outside chance of that. I don't think that will happen though. Let's have a look at the next list. It's always quite interesting to look at that. I mean, there's thousands of games out there, but I think at the end it's going to come down to publishers and what games we can get. Now, there's another one that certainly springs to mind with a lot of people. You've got Mindscape and Ocean. Let's have a look at Mindscape first. I don't really recognise that one. Oh yeah, look at some of the games like Alpha Chicken. That's quite good fun. Loops again. Ultima. That's quite a popular game. Yeah, could happen. Not sure, but let's have a look at Ocean. Now, one of the big problems with Ocean is obviously they had a lot of film licensed games, and I just don't see that happening at all. I mean, there's a lot of really good games in there that a lot of people will sort of recognise, but is it possible? I mean, they obviously publish games from other sort of companies, so whether they actually own the license to a lot of these games, I don't know. But yeah, I'm not going to hold out much hope for that, to be honest. There's a few other here that really had half a dozen games. Psygnosis, again, I'm not sure who actually owns this label anymore, but this would be quite cool if they could actually pull that out of the bag. But I'm pretty sure they sort of went out of business some time ago, but I'm not sure who owns the license to them. But there's a lot of recognisable games in here, like Agony, Benefactor, Brian the Line. Yep. Flank, yep, that was a CD32, and I wonder if they'll actually get a CD32 game in amongst the Amiga collection. Don't know, hard to say. Now, obviously, I would really love to see Lemmings, but who actually owns the rights to that anymore? I don't know. I know it was obviously original DMA design, but it's obviously went down the line. It might still be Rockstar now. I don't have a scoop. I'm not entirely sure. Lots of games there. Shadow of the Beast series, that's very well known. Now, what else? Obviously, we got to. Where have we got to? Oh, yeah, we're on P. I almost lost the plot there. So, on to R, Rainbow Arts. Oh, that rings a bell. That's the Turricane series, isn't it? Yeah. So, they are Turricane. Again, could be tough to license. I'm not entirely sure. Don't really recognise any of the other games. X-Out, yeah. R-Type, obviously, but I think that's more Ireme than Rainbow Arts. But anyway, an outside chance, I guess. Renegade, recognised that one. And now we're into S's. Certainly recognise System 3. There's got quite a lot of games there, but I don't really recognise that name. Time Runners mainly. No, don't really recognise that. And the other one, definitely System 3 is one that sticks out, but they were more really Commodore 64 rather than Amiga. But there's some amazing Amiga versions of these games like IK Plus, Flimbo's Quest, Fuzzball, and the last Ninja series were absolutely brilliant. I really enjoyed Potty Squad as well, and Tusker. I think, and Myth, obviously Myth was fantastic. That could be a chance. I mean, I know System 3 are still going this day, so whether we get this Amiga collection rather than a Commodore 64 System 3 collection, it's a high possibility it could happen. Whether they would be able to do a license for Evercade, I don't know, but this would be nice. I know there's not an awful lot of games here, but there's some good games in amongst there. Like Bangkok Nice was a boxing game, which was quite good fun. Last Ninja series was good, but I'm not sure it holds up that well control-wise. IK Plus, an absolute classic. Flimbo's Quest was fun. Myth is recognised as a classic. It's a hard game though. And yeah, Potty Squad is a nice little puzzle style game. Really enjoyed that. I'd like to see this. If there was one that I would love as a personal choice, I would like to see System 3 at some point. Now, Team 17, that's the one I think is the most likely to happen, given the fact that we've got a Worms collection from Team 17 on Evercade, which a lot of people don't really like. Personally, I had to stop 3 games, it wasn't really good. But if we could get an Amiga Team 17 collection, I think it would be pretty nice. There's some good games there, most especially the Alien Breed collections and games which were fantastic fun. You've got Arcade Pool, which was a really good game. Body Blows, F-17 Challenge, I actually think that is fantastic. I really would love to see that. You've got Project X, which is a shooter game. Quack, which I really enjoyed as well. That's a kind of platform puzzler. I really love it. Super Frog as well. That's a kind of cool style game. And I guess if we did get Team 17, there's no doubt they're going to have to probably shove Worms the Director's Cut onto it just for the sake of it, which is probably a lot better version than the ones we've got already. So I wouldn't say no to it, but not my favourite type of game. But Team 17, I think that's the odds-on favourite for me that's going to happen. And now the announcement is going to be next week at the time of this video, and we will find out what the publisher is, and I'm sure they'll let us know what the actual games are going to be included. Another one, Thalamus. Now they're more recognised as being Commodore 64 publishers rather than Amiga, but they've definitely done some Amiga versions. An outside chance, but I think if we were going to get Thalamus, it would have to be Commodore 64 versions of the games for me, because Creatures on Amiga is just terrible. Just my opinion, obviously, so if you think differently, fair enough, no problems. Titus, certainly a chance we could see that. Titus the Fox was on the A500 Mini. I don't recognise many of the other games, obviously Crazy Cars, but I think that was a different publisher that should be under that, but yeah, don't think that'll happen. US Gold, I'm pretty sure that was a kind of a interesting label. But obviously they published a lot of other games. A lot of these games are kind of Sega related games as well, and Capcom, as you can see. Not entirely sure, that's just a label that had sort of other companies' names on. They just published other games, I guess. That's not going to happen. Same with Virgin, not happening. Ubisoft, nah, they obviously still going today, but whether they license an Amiga collection, I don't know what games are actually under there. Don't really recognise the games, to be honest. Street Racer, it's the only one I kind of recognise, but yeah. So we'll get to the end of the list. I don't think there's any more worth looking at. But yeah, so guys, let me know what you think. What games do you think we see? I think definitely Team 17 is the odds-on favourite, but there's a few others there that could also get collections from, such as Gremlin and Bitmap Brothers. Oh, Bitmap Brothers, let's have a quick look at Bitmap Brothers before we actually finish the video. Okay, Bitmap Brothers, interestingly enough, they actually first made the games on Atari ST, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, we've obviously got a Bitmap Brothers collection, but they're all sort of console versions of games that they released. Yeah, I know at the time I definitely said we would love to see Amiga versions of these games because they were the best versions for me. Such as Speedball 2 was definitely better. Xenon 2 would have been the same, slightly better. But games that we definitely didn't get on the Amiga, sort of the Bitmap Brothers collection, was Gods and Magic Pockets and the Chaos Engine 2 and Zed Steel Soldiers as well. But they're the only real games I think that were missing from that collection that you could say we need on a collection. Cadaver is there, but I'm not sure that's really very controllable on a D-pad. I just don't think it works. You really need a joystick for that to be playable. But I would certainly love to see Gods and Magic Pockets if we do get a Bitmap Brothers Amiga collection on the Evercade. It could happen. There's an outside chance that that could happen as well. I think definitely Team 17 has got to be the first one. Gremlin and then maybe a selection of the others could happen. Hard to say. Guys, please let me know your opinion. What publishers do you think we'll see on Amiga? I think there are only a few there that are more realistic than others. But anyway, that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.